Hi, I'm Carly, and I'm going to be Thomas's occupational therapist. I see on the intake form that you expressed some concerns with Thomas's behaviors, responding to touch and certain foods that he eats.
Yeah, he doesn't really like many textures. Whenever his feet, whenever he has bare feet, he doesn't really like his toes to touch the grass. And
Okay, so the assessment that I'll be giving you today is called the Sensory Profile 2, and it gives insight into the way a child processes sensory information. It will effectively evaluate Thomas's sensory strengths and challenges in his environment. So, I would like you to fill out this questionnaire. We will be using the toddler form because Thomas is 14 months old. The toddler form is used for children who are between the ages of 7 months and 35 months. So, for educational purposes, I would like you to read each question out loud and then answer the question. Do you
Okay.
have any questions?
Nope.
Okay, let's begin. So, the pages that follow contain statements that describe how children may act. Please read each phrase and select the option that best describes how often your child shows these behaviors. Please make one option for every statement. Use these guidelines to mark your responses. When presented with the opportunity, my child almost always responds in this manner, means almost always, which is 90% or more of the time. Frequently responds in this manner, frequently is 75% of the time. Half the time responds in this manner, half the time is 50% of the time. Occasionally responds in this manner, occasionally is 25% of the time. Almost never responds in this manner, almost never is 10% or less of the time, and does not apply. If you are unable to answer because you have not observed the behavior or believe that it does not apply to your child, please check does not apply.
Okay. Number one, my child needs a routine to stay content or calm. Occasionally. Acts in a way that interferes with family schedules and plans. Occasionally. Resists playing among other children. Does not apply. Takes longer than same age children to respond to questions or actions. Occasionally. Withdraws from situations. Does not apply. Has an unpredictable sleeping pattern. That's pretty frequent. Has an unpredictable eating pattern. Occasionally. Is easily awakened. Almost never. Misses eye contact with me during everyday interactions. Occasionally. Gets anxious in new situations. Doesn't really apply. My child pays attention if I speak loudly. Occasionally. Only pays attention when I touch my child, and hearing is okay. Occasionally. Startles easily at sound compared to same age children. For example, dog barking, children shouting. Doesn't really apply. Is distracted in noisy settings. Does not really apply. Ignores sounds, including my voice. Occasionally. Becomes upset or tries to escape from noisy settings. Does not apply. Takes a long time to respond to own name. Occasionally. Enjoys looking at moving or spinning objects. Example, ceiling fans, toys with wheels. Yes, frequently. Enjoys looking at shining objects. Frequently. Is attracted to TV or computer screens with fast-paced, brightly colored graphics. Almost always. Startles at bright or unpredictable light. For example, when moving from inside to outside. Almost never. Is bothered by bright lights. For example, hides from sunlight through car window. Does not really apply. Is more bothered by bright lights than other same children. Also does not really apply. Pushes brightly colored toys away. Does not apply. Fails to respond to self in the mirror. That doesn't really apply either. I'm going to add a comment right here, just saying that he loves cell phones and TVs.
Okay.
Okay. Becomes upset when having nails trimmed frequently. Resists being cuddled. Yeah, frequently. Is upset when moving among spaces with very different temperatures, for example, colder, warmer. Does not apply. Withdraws from contact with rough, cold, or sticky surfaces, carpet, countertops. Almost always. Bumps into things, failing to notice objects or people in the way. Yeah, probably about half the time. Pulls at clothing or resists getting clothing on. Yeah, almost always. Enjoys splashing during bath or swim time. Almost always. Becomes upset if own clothing, hands, or face are messy. Almost always. Becomes anxious when walking or crawling on certain surfaces, grass, sand. Almost always. Withdraws from unexpected touch. Not always, but pretty frequently. So I got a bunch of always frequently here. So I'm going to add another comment down here. Does not like to touch grass. Basically what I said earlier. He pulls his own socks off and.
Okay.
He also doesn't like certain food textures, so I'll add that too. Enjoys physical activity, for example, bouncing, being held up behind the hair. Oh yeah. Enjoys rhythmical activities, for example, swinging, rocking, and car rides. Yep. Takes movement or climbing risks frequently. Becomes upset when placed on the back, for example, at changing times frequently. Seems accident prone or clumsy, occasionally. Fusses when moved around, for example, walking, when being handed over to another person. I don't know, maybe half the time. Shows a clear dislike for all but a few food choices. Got that from his father about half the time. Drools, also got that from me frequently. Prefers one texture of food. Yeah, he likes smooth frequently. Uses drinking to calm himself all the time. Gags on food or drink almost always. Holds food in cheeks before swallowing almost always. Has difficulty weaning to chunky foods almost always. I'll put another comment down here. He drinks really fast, and he shoves a lot of food all in his mouth that one time.
Okay.
Okay. My child has temper tantrums. Unfortunately, it's frequent. He's clingy about half the time. He stays calm when only being held. Almost never. He's fussy or irritable. Yeah, half the time. Is bothered by new settings. Occasionally, not too much. Becomes upset in new settings that it's hard to calm down. Does not apply. I think we're done.
Yep, so I will go through and score this, and then I will tell you the results in the next session, and then we can go for a treatment plan from there.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so Andrew completed the sensory profile too, and this is what it looks like. So he filled out the scoring form by responding to the statements on a 5-point Likert scale, which is converted to points. So 5 equals almost always, 1 equals almost never, and 0 does not apply. So this is what each sheet looked like, and then this is where he checked the almost always, frequently, occasionally, and half the time. And then the scores are, then I take the items and put the raw score based on what he answered on the sheet. And they have 4 different quadrants. So there's the seeking quadrant, avoiding, sensitivity, and registration. And then you calculate the total raw scores for each of those quadrants. Then after that, I would take each of the raw scores and put it in this table. And the table, you write the total raw scores, and then you mark it on the different categories. So much less than others, just like the majority of others, more than others, and much more than others. And then you take the percentage ranges. All right, so first, the raw scores for each subtest and behavioral sections are calculated, and then the raw scores for each quadrant are calculated. And next, the raw scores are compared to the normed data, and the trial score is marked within the standard distribution, just like I just showed you. So the percentile ranks can be determined based on the normal distribution using the Appendix A in the manual. So after scoring the form, I found that Thomas falls into the category of much more than others for the quadrants avoiding and sensitivity. He scored a 27 out of 55 for the avoiding quadrant, and the percentile ranges is 96% to 99%. He scored a 42 out of 65 on the sensitivity quadrant, and the percentage ranges is 98 to 99%. For the quadrant seeking and registration, he falls into the category of just like the majority of others. And then for the sensory and behavioral section, Thomas falls into the category of much more than others for touch and oral. He scored a 23 out of 30 for touch, and the percentile ranges was 96 to 99%. And he scored a 31 out of 35 for the oral, and the percentile range is 98 to 99%. So these scores reflect his father's concerns about his sensitivity to touch in certain foods. Thomas seems to have some tactile defensiveness, so goals and interventions will be made based off of these scores. Thank you.